Hey, everybody, this is Joe Joseph, and this is the DailySheeple.com's Daily News Brief. And this Daily News Brief is a special Freaky Friday edition. And the reason why I say that is because over at TruthFrequencyRadio.com, every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, some of the most intriguing, scientific, and talk is there with regard, not just scientific, but that gets into the realms of tinfoil hattery, you name it, we go there. And normally I'm able to participate in the Friday night discussions, but unfortunately this time I'm not. So I'm doing a Freaky Friday edition of the news brief to go over some of the things that I would have talked about on the radio broadcast tonight. The first one that I want to get into, of course, is a Telegraph article talking about the Australian Prime Minister. He has an advisor, and he's coming out to say on the record that climate change is a UN-led ruse to establish a new world order. Finally, we have somebody within the inner circles of these governments that are speaking truth about the whole global warming thing. You have President Trump and his administration here in the United States that have taken a stance also to deregulate a lot of these, deregulate industry to be able to go back to the way things were, perhaps a little less regulated. How that translates to cost savings to the peasants remains to be seen. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be good vanguards of the planet, because we absolutely should. But we should do so utilizing true data, honest data. Where is the weather changes and earth changes really, truly coming from? And until we get a true and accurate gauge of what is really going on, and I think a lot of independent media personalities, a lot of independent scientists that don't have ties to corporations or grants, government grants, are coming to the realization that a lot of the global warming and earth changes that you might be seeing is a direct result of the fact that A, our magnetic field is weakening and weakening fast, whether through natural cycles or through human-induced events such as testing at the CERN, the Large Hadron Collider over in Switzerland, that when they turn it on, the magnetic field of the earth ends up looking like somebody that stuck their finger in an electric socket, and those nice magnetic lines of flux that kind of flow from the top and bottom of the planet and out to the back, like Fabio's hair, end up looking like buckwheat's hair when all's said and done. So the Australia PM advisor says that climate change is a UN ruse to establish a new world order. Listen to this. It says climate change is a hoax developed as part of a secret plot by the United Nations to undermine democracies and take over the world. A top advisor to Tony Abbott, Australia's Prime Minister, is warned. Maurice Newman, the chief business advisor to the Prime Minister, says that science showing links between human activity and the warming climate is wrong, but was being used as a hook by the UN to expand its global control. Of course, we've seen that now with the push of a global carbon tax, something that even Elon Musk and a lot of the technocrats are pushing. Quote, "This is not about facts or logic. It's about a new world order under the control of the UN," he wrote in the Australian. Quote, "It's opposed to capitalism and freedom and has made environmental catastrophe a household topic to achieve its objective." Born in Ilford, England, and educated in Australia, Mr. Newman, a staunch conservative and former chairman of the Australian Stock Exchange, has long been an outspoken critic of climate change science. He was appointed chairman of the government's Business Advisory Council by Mr. Abbott, who himself is something of a climate change skeptic and once famously described climate change as absolute crap. A comment, though, he later recanted. And of course, when you deal with and are in a position that relies on external support to keep you there, you're not going to piss off your money stream. And so, of course, he recanted. And that's what a lot of people do. You know, you have to be politically correct in certain arenas. Because if you don't, your quality of life degrades considerably. And that's exactly what's going on now. Environmental groups and scientists describe Mr. Newman as a crazed conspiracy theorist. There's that term again, established in 1961 by our own CIA in response to the Kennedy assassination. But he's called a conspiracy theorist for, calling it like it is. And they've even called on him to resign. This is a quote from the Climate Change Council. It says his anti-science fringe views are indistinguishable from those made by angry trolls on conspiracy theory forums. That would probably be me, one of them. Now, to say that they're not manipulating the weather, to say that they're not either A, responding to perhaps catastrophic changes to our planet that might result in catastrophic changes to our weather, or that they're not formulating this whole crisis themselves, really at this point is indisputable. If you go to the website weathermodification.com, this is a great example of a site and a company that deals specifically with weather modification. This is what they say about us. Now more than ever, the worldwide need for solutions to atmospheric necessities such as water resource management and environmental quality monitoring is critical. With nearly a half-century of successful programs, our experience speaks for itself. Let us help you better manage your atmospheric and water resources. So, you have private corporations out there. Of course, we know that cloud seeding's gone on for a very long time. And we know that experiments have gone on for a very long time with regards to weather modifications. Of course, we've seen and had whistleblowers come out and talk about some of the testing that happened not just in England during World War II, when a village in England was inundated with over 2 feet of water in a 24-hour period, totally washed out the village. Or in Vietnam, when they seeded clouds to flood out the Ho Chi Minh Trail. You can't tell me that we haven't advanced well past that. That we don't have a better understanding of how our weather works and how we can manipulate it. And through programs like your atmospheric aerosol program, or what people commonly refer to as chemtrails, or persistent contrails is another term that I've heard used. You can't dispute that these programs are on and in effect. I've often heard people say that, there's no such thing as chemtrails. Come on. All you need to do is look up. Believe what your eyes are seeing. God gave us our 2 eyes to be able to see things. And when you look up in the sky and you see a plane laying what is clearly not a contrail, because a contrail is basically jet exhaust, water vapor, that comes out of the engine. It leaves a ice trail behind, and it quickly evaporates because you're talking about aerosolized water that's freezing, that hits the atmosphere. As soon as the sun hits it, it evaporates. Doesn't really stick around too long. Chemtrails, however, are aerosolized particulate matter, whether it be metal or otherwise, that's sprayed into the atmosphere for many different reasons. And see, here's the thing about the powers that shouldn't be. The powers that shouldn't be are very good in getting their money's worth out of a project or out of a plan. And chemtrails don't deal strictly with weather modification. We know this to be true. Chemtrails are a multi-purpose project or program, your atmospheric aerosol program. Because not only does it desiccate the atmosphere, not only does it heat the atmosphere, but it's also been used in other programs and other military programs over the last few decades to either enhance or as an integral part of an overall architecture of a system to make things work. One of them is, I think it's called the VTRMP program. It was used back in the 90s over in Iraq, and it had to do with extending radar coverage, because over in the Persian Gulf, there's a phenomenon called ducting that happens there, probably more than anywhere else in the world. And because of the heat, you oftentimes have surface search radars, which normally are only supposed to be line of sight. They cannot see over the horizon. And most radars cannot see past the curvature of the Earth. It's just the way the Earth is shaped, and that's the way it is. Plus, the power out of these radars aren't strong enough to go farther past, again, the curvature of the Earth. So, over in the Persian Gulf, due to the effect of ducting, you can have a surface search radar that can see 200 miles ahead. Not because it's designed to, but because of the atmospheric conditions in that area. Well, you can simulate that just fine by simply putting aerosolized metal particulate in the air and bouncing your radar off of the metal particulate. You can create the same environment or simulate the environment that is prevalent over the Middle East during the hot time of the year anywhere in the world. And then, what you can also do is with HAARP, and a lot of people have poo-pooed HAARP, but there is unbelievable evidence to show that atmospheric heaters are being used all over the world by many different countries. And if you want to enhance an atmospheric heater's ability to heat the atmosphere, well, then you're going to spray aerosolized metal particulate up in the atmosphere and then excite it with a lot of RF energy, which is what systems like HAARP are designed to do. With HAARP, the one that was built in Alaska, it could put 1 billion watts of power into the atmosphere. That's an unbelievable amount of power that you can put in the atmosphere. You can enhance that by exciting metal particulate in the atmosphere and causing a plasma-like environment to be created. And that has a bunch of purposes. For a missile defense system, you can put that metal particulate into the atmosphere, excite it, and then basically form a missile shield. That's what Dr. Bernard Eastland developed, and what was the primary purpose of HAARP when it was developed back in the 1970s and early 1980s. So there is a lot that has to do with weather modification, weather manipulation. We've seen HAARP being used, or experiments that show that it could be used for mind control. There are so many different ways that we see this type of technology used in our everyday life. And to willfully ignore it does not make the problem go away. To stick your head in the sand doesn't fix the issues that are going on. And the only way to understand what's really going on with our planet is to confront these issues head on and truthfully, so that we as humanity can solve these issues logically, methodically, without money being the object or root cause of the problem. In other news, supervolcano worse than Vesuvius that could kill millions across Europe is apparently ready to blow, according to the Daily Star. And this is very interesting. Over in the UK, I've often found they've got a lot better coverage, especially on the science stuff, than we do here in the United States, especially in the mainstream media. But it says a supervolcano on the brink of blowing threatens to wipe out Europe, killing millions immediately and bring the world economy to its knees. Very interesting. It says around 2,000 years ago, Mount Vesuvius erupted, destroying the Roman city of Pompeii and killing an estimated 1,500 people. But today, a far more sinister supervolcano named Campi Flegrei is lurking underneath Naples in Italy. Naples is a very, very populated city in Italy, if you don't know. Now, shocking research revealed last month warned that the Big Daddy of Vesuvius is showing signs of reawakening and may be on the brink of going off. And should it blow in a big one eruption, experts told the Daily Star that thousands, possibly millions of people across Europe would be killed immediately from incineration and suffocation, where dense black ash clouds would block out the sun, plunging the continent into months, if not years, of eerie darkness. Very, very interesting. It says tens of billions would be instantly wiped out of the economy as air travel industry and farming would be ground to a halt. Could this be one of the reasons why the powers that shouldn't be, why billionaires across the globe are all building their doomsday shelters. If you take a look and see what kind of activity that the rich are embarking upon, one of them is doomsday shelters. Now, I'd have to ask the question, would you, if you had the resources, be building a doomsday shelter? Because I'm sure 99.9% of you out there would probably say, yes, I would be building a bunker. All these people are doing, as far as I can tell, most of them not nefarious, have probably seen and or heard information and then took that information and said, damn, I might want to build a shelter. Now, unfortunately, we peasants down at the bottom aren't privy to a lot of the information that the powers that shouldn't be get. Could this be one of those things that they're being told is a possible threat to humanity? You know, we've often heard in the United States, Yellowstone is awakening, that there is a lot of scientific activity. Last year it was the buffalo and the melting asphalt of the roads. And it wasn't because it was hot outside. It was because of the situation underground in Yosemite. They have the, I think they measured an amazing amount of growth as far as, the land expanding. It means like inflating upward at Yosemite. You have a lot of these super volcanoes that seem to be coming to life. Could it be a result of the weakening magnetic field and the fact that more cosmic particles are affecting our planet, causing these things to happen? You know, you saw in the movie 2012, that was one of the main reasons why the cataclysms in that movie happened. Was that a forewarning of things to come? It's very, very interesting indeed. However, in all of this, you have to wonder, are the trials and tribulations that we go through in life simply a holodeck? You know, is this a way that when we are created, when we're born, that we're born into kind of a school, a university, if you will? A lot of people also often say that the universe is a word that is kind of steeped in a scholarly type of history, where university, like a cosmic university, like we were put here to learn type of thing. Well, science is coming to find out that there's substantial evidence to show that we really do live in a holographic universe. This according to phys.org. And phys.org, of course, has a bunch of studies. Everything is based on peer-reviewed studies at phys.org. It says a UK, Canadian, and Italian study has provided what researchers believe is the first observational evidence that our universe could be a vast and complex hologram. Theoretical physicists and astrophysicists investigating irregularities in the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow, they say, of the Big Bang, have found there is a substantial amount of evidence supporting a holographic explanation of the universe. In fact, as much as there is for the traditional explanation of these irregularities using the theories of cosmic inflation. Let me stop there. A holographic universe, of course, would certainly play into and give credence to the idea of creation. Now, CERN, the Large Hadron Collider located in Switzerland, has done a lot of research into the creation of the universe and how it was all created, trying to simulate the Big Bang and get down to the smallest particle that they can possibly get. Now, there's a lot of nefarious things that they're doing too. But one thing that they did find in their research was that the universe is not random. It is ordered in nature, meaning that there is a systematic process to it. That means that there's an intelligence behind its creation, meaning that it's not just random chance that came about the Big Bang or evolution, if you will, that we were indeed created. And this information now, this research into a holographic universe actually plays into that and gives more justification that either we were created or we're being bamboozled. And our reality, our real reality, is not what we experience here. that we're in a matrix, much like the movies show. Now, call it what you will, but one thing is for sure, that the theory of evolution and this idea of a big bang, the way that they sell it, is not the truth. And it's only kept quackery science going for so long. And we haven't really had much advancement. Not like we should, especially with the way that technology develops and the advancement curve just keeps steepening and steepening. You can't say that, and I believe that if we go back to the way it was, where science and spirituality didn't compete against each other but complemented one another, that we would be so much farther along. The problem is, if you do that, then the powers that shouldn't be, and those that are in power both in academia and in corporations across the globe, would have to cede some of their power, and they don't want to do that. You see, because in their eyes, in their new world order, they want to become gods. They strive for immortality in this realm, not in the next realm. And that's what they're trying to create here and lock us all into. And that's something, my friends, that I want no part of, as I'm sure many of you don't want as well. I'm Joe Joseph. This was the DailySheeple.com's Daily News Brief, Freaky Friday edition. Have a great day, everybody, and a great weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Take care.